Nope.
Yo,
I don't know what you got playing in the back, but I don't hear it right now.
it's slow. It's a slow build, baby.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
slow build. You gotta relax. Let it get there. Let the tea brew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. You know what I'm saying? But
You
either
know
way,
what I'm
man, how you been, man? I know we took a week off. We took a little
We
week
didn't
off.
take last week off. That was 2 weeks ago.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm still saying though. Look, man, I'm trying to get back in the rhythm of things, and you know we got technology trying to screw us over here. You know what I'm saying? Sorry for the delay, folks.
What up, y'all? How y'all doing? I just wanted to say hello. You know what I mean? But I'm ready to get straight into it. No,
Oh, you
no
ready to
chaser.
go?
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, okay, you ready to get right into it? Let's get it. You know. Oh, that's crazy. Don't apologize. Look, I ain't apologizing for no takes, bro. That ain't happening, dog. You know what? I never thought I'd see a day to where I have to say I ain't J. Cole. That's craziness. But I
Hey
ain't J.
man, yo,
Cole.
dog. To put that on God is wild. Don't put that on God, dog. Try to get spiritually, just trying to be spiritually right with God. Stop it. Don't do that. Why you putting that on God, bro?
Hey, God looking down right now with the conceited face.
Disgusting.
With the conceited
Disgusting.
face, like, don't put that on me. I ain't had nothing to do with this, dog.
I sent David into the lions then. Can you imagine if that David said, "Nah, I'm sorry, man. I don't want to have beef with these lions."
Bro, I asked Abraham to sacrifice his son. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Just to prove his loyalty. Like, what are
You
we talking about?
know what I'm saying? Like, come on now.
Nah, man, I ain't reading no stories like this in the Bible.
Nah.
That's not like I said. Like you said, don't bring God into this. Nah, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I ain't, you know what I mean? I ain't have David go up against Goliath for this.
Yeah, absolutely not. Hey, man, I see people quoting all the stuff. It was like 50 Cent ain't, he ain't take Rick Ross's kids shopping with Floyd Mayweather. He ain't snatched such and such chain and do all this shit just so J. Cole could apologize. Like,
You know,
what part of the game is that? Like, what are you talking about?
you know what I mean? Like Jay-Z didn't do what he did on that baby seat for this.
Now here we now to be fair, at least he apologized for that line
No,
because
he apologized for talking about it. He didn't apologize for doing it. He apologized for talking
like
about it.
he said, Mama said he shouldn't have said that to him publicly. Okay, and it's different. Like, but I guess Mark in J. Cole's defense, right? I mean, one was listening to his mama, and the other one was listening to God. So,
Or listening, yeah, listening to his spirit.
yeah, the spirit came over him and said, look, man, if you want some sleep tonight,
I got the melatonin. Apologize.
that's crazy. Hey, man, hey, but I know we talked about this earlier. I like what Rory was saying. He was like, not Rory, but Maul was like, nah, he was scared. He was like, Rory was like, nah, are you sure he's scared? No, man, that man said he couldn't sleep, man. If you think he couldn't sleep because of what was going on, I was like, the fight didn't even start yet. Like, he didn't even, his diss wasn't even that crazy for him to feel bad about it.
Yo, you know what's wild? Somebody pulled up somewhere all the times people have apologized to Kendrick.
Yeah,
It's like
I saw that.
it's like 5 different times. I'm like, this dude is the real life Freddy Krueger of rap.
He's
Like,
the Grim Reaper, dog. He's hey, look, man.
I never knew that so many people have apologized to him before for different reasons. It's wild.
They was like, you know what? You're right. I don't even know what I was thinking.
Yeah. You're right. It's just like it's both of ours. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy. Like, you know what? I didn't even know what I was thinking. But yeah, real quick, shout out to Troy. Shout out to Rob. I know Rob hit me up. He was like, "Damn, y'all starting at 8:30?" I was like, "Nah, man, we just having some technical difficulties, man. We here though. We here though." So
Absolutely.
absolutely. Hey Rob, if at any point in time, man, you got some insight, you got some questions, you got anything you want to say, man, feel free. I know it's been a while since you've been live with us, man. So
But anyway, let's just go ahead and talk about something. We ain't got a whole lot to talk about today, but we got something to talk about. Things that happened over the weekend. The refs, and the gang hawks, whatever you want to call them, the game hawks, whatever the fuck they call it, Iowa, whatever. They lost.
Hawkeyes, yeah.
But like what they call, like what's their nickname? It's like something Hawks or something. Some nonsense.
I don't know what the hell they are, but I just know they're the Hawkeyes. I know they got a weird name. I don't really care what their nickname is. Like, but either way.
But yeah, either way, they lost this weekend. What did you think about that game, Sean?
I personally thought that. UConn did a phenomenal. Excuse me, not UConn. My bad. South Carolina did a phenomenal job on Caitlin. Like they actually came in there with a game plan. It didn't work initially. She went off in the first quarter, and then there was in-game coaching that happened. You know what I'm saying? Something that we don't see a lot of, and the in-game adjustment worked. From the second quarter to the fourth quarter, they had her in what do they say, 23-1 or 23-1 lockdown.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? she was locked up, man, and they actually put. And this is what I was talking about with the LSU game. I thought Flo J should have been on her because she's the player on the team that plays with the most energy. She's the player on the team that's, I would say, is the most athletic, and she's the person on the team that has the most, I think, the biggest will to win. You take. Right. I don't care if you think that person. I don't care if you think she's a great defender or not. That's the person that you want her. Even if she's not a good defender, she'll at least tire her out. We watched the Cleveland Cavaliers do that with Dellavedova. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't a phenomenal defender. He was just playing with a lot of energy, man.
Yeah, he was playing hard.
And that's what South Carolina did. They said, no, we're gonna put somebody on you that's gonna play on you. And you're going to have to earn every single point. And what you saw was something that has always shown itself in her games, but it's never really had too much bearing. But Caitlin Clark gets easily frustrated, and she gets emotional. She throws fits. She does all these things. They were absolutely in her head before you even got into the second half. You know what I'm saying? But beyond that, here we go. He's saying it was a moving screen against UConn. I see you guys keep moving UConn, right? So let's talk about that. It was, dog, that was like a textbook moving screen. Like, she did everything that you can't do in a screen. Her legs was all the way extended. She leaned into it. She extended her arms. And she was still moving when the contact was made. I don't understand why people are upset about that call in the UConn game. Like, Mark, what's your take on that?
The UConn game, man.
Yeah, the call at the end of the UConn game. We all know what happened.
I mean, I think it was more. I thought the call was called correctly, but I also think it was more than that call that made people lean that way. I think like just the way that game was played, it felt like, all right, bro. Like, I think that was just the people's last straw, kind of.
Yeah.
And like, you know what I mean? Where they was like, you know how like somebody get cheated all game, and then it'd be like, nah, and then that final call, and they'd be like, oh, that's bullshit. And it's like, no, that call was legit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and I'm not going to argue that. And another argument, that's a conversation I can have, Mark. you want to talk about everything that happened before and the favorable calls they were getting before, I can talk about that, right? Let's be honest. It's no secret that they wanted Caitlin Clark in the finals.
Right.
Like once they beat LSU, it's like cool. We can't have Angel and Caitlin both missing from the championship game, right? Let's be honest. There was definitely people the NCAA had a vested interest in making sure Iowa made it. Now, with that said, here's the complaint that I will accept from the people talking about the call. Let's be honest, it was a clear moving screen. But the part that I agree with people on is that was happening earlier in the game and it wasn't being called. So now that's what brings into question for me, like, hey, well, why did they call it right there? But once again, my argument could be it was so blatant in that moment that you can't not call it. If it was questionable, then I could be like, okay, yeah, they should have left it as a no call. But that shit was like, nah, man, I'm shoving my elbow in your chest. Like, nah, man, you can't clothesline somebody and then be like, nah, man.
But you know how I feel about that. Like, just don't do it. Like I don't care if they was saying that it was good earlier. I don't care. They said it's not good now, and by the rules it's not good. So there you go.
I'm gonna tell you a story that you'll find interesting. So Q, a buddy of ours, he was a buddy of ours from the military days, from way back when we first joined. Q told me how he ended up being a contractor again, or being a contractor at Nellis. When he showed up, I ran into him. I'm like, what are you doing here? Mm-hmm. Then he kindly explained to me that he got arrested for a DUI when he was in North Dakota. And he is telling me about all the times that he got away with it. Like, he got away with it in Germany. Like, they were trying to breathalyze him, but the breathalyzer didn't work. They pulled out a second one. So he was like, damn, I'm not going to get away with it. And then somebody speeds past them so fast that they just put the shit down and go get it. The stuff that happens in the movies. But Mark, Q.
That's his life. That's the beauty of his life.
That's exactly what would happen for Q. It would never happen for us, Mark. But with that said, he said when he got his DUI in North Dakota, they better call him in the office, and he was just like, he just shrugged and said, "Y'all got me." Right? So it's the same. It's the same with this, dog. Like, he understood that he was getting away with it for a very long time, and he was just one of those times like, yeah, my day was coming. So you can't do this. Get away with it throughout the entirety of the game, Mark, knowing that you're getting away with it, and then throw your hands up at the end of the game and be like, oh man, what's going on? Like, no, you absolutely knew you were getting away with murder, okay? And just because they didn't let you get away with the fourth murder, now you want to call bullshit. No, that's not how it works, man. You're taking a chance every time you do it. And just because they let it go the first 3 times does not mean they're going to let it go the fourth. And just to add to that, people always say, we don't want to see a game decided by the refs. Well, guess what? As a player, your job is to not put the game in the ref's hands.
Right.
You can't do that. So, yes, that's what I would be yelling on the sideline to my players about at the end of that game if I was the coach. Like, you absolutely cannot put the game in the ref's hands. You can't do that and then hope that they don't call it. So there's a lack of discipline, or whether it be in the players' behavior on the court or in the coaching. So that's their own fault. They did it to themselves.
No, 100%. 1,000% actually. One thing that I want to say though is just shout out to women's basketball, any period, for putting on a much better show and a much more entertaining product than their male counterpart, which is very rare to happen.
Well, this was a weird year because once it got to the Final Four mark, to me personally, I already knew who was going to win. The issue with South Carolina is the way that they were winning is they had a 6'8" dude, 6'9", whatever you want to call him, that was just bullying people. And I was like, number one, that ain't going to work against Purdue, He's going to be playing bigger dude. And then it's like you can't survive off of that and that only. You still got to play defense. You still got to get all the other players involved. Like he can't go for a 40 ball every night. He's not that good. Like yeah, South Carolina had their issues. They shouldn't even make it to the Final Four, but they did. So like that's what I looked at. Iowa was never good enough to me to even be there. They got by too. And then you look at, and then at the end of the day, what you look at Purdue. Excuse me. Yeah, you look at the championship game, and it was just like none of these teams. Apparently, this dude has been Edey's been going on a run for the past 2 years to where he's just been unguardable. So, and he's been playing better this year than he was last year. The dude was averaging like 15.4 rebounds a game, 25 points a game, like shooting 65, 66%. Unless you got a 7'4" dude on your team, he wasn't gonna win that game. Like, so to me, it was.
By the way, you keep saying North Carolina. I mean, you keep saying South Carolina. You meant NC State.
NC State. My bad. I don't know why I said South Carolina.
Because you're mixing women's and men's. South Carolina won in women's.
Yeah, and it's the black and red. It's the black and red colors. But yeah, and they're both Carolina teams. Yeah, that's my bad. Thank you for the correction. But you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's just I didn't feel like it was worth watching the Final Four once the men's tournament got to the Final Four.
Right.
That's at least with the women's Final Four. Even if I thought a team was going to win, I thought both of these Final Four games were going to come down to the wire, and they pretty much did. So yeah, no, they both of the Final Four games were entertaining. The championship was entertaining. Like, I don't know what to say, man. Like, they definitely, if you, and Mark, just so you know, the numbers for the Final Four, I don't know what it was for the championship, but the numbers for the Final Four game, the Iowa versus LSU game, excuse me, it was 4 times.
Okay.
4 times more viewers than the men's. Like, and not only that, but the Iowa LSU game was a whole different ball game. That thing was, that was the most viewed college basketball game to me in like the last X amount of like 20-something years or something. So like,
he said 16 million views is insane.
Yeah. No,
that's from Troy.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was wild. It was wild. So like, the women's game is more interesting though, and here's why. It's more interesting, and it ended up being this way because with the way the WNBA is set up, nobody's in a rush to go to the WNBA. They're not going to get any money with the way the NIL deals are now. These women are not leaving early, okay? They didn't used to leave early that much anyway, but they definitely not leaving early now, right? So, your best stars, if they bud in their sophomore year, you get to see them on a stacked team or whatever team they're going to be on for the next 2 seasons after that. And you got Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark just played 4 years. Like, what are we talking about? Like, all these folks, all the women are going to play 4 years because of NIL deals. On the men's side, the NIL deals are nice, but guess what? They're not NBA money nice.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So
and then there's sponsorship still after that.
Yeah. End of the bench NBA money is mountains above NIL money. Just being the end of the bench guy is going to pay you more. So there's no incentive for the men to stay. There's a high turnover rate. You really don't get to see the teams gel. And that's why by the time you get to the Final Four, you got teams like Purdue in the Final Four because their players aren't good enough to get on NIL deals. Their players ain't good enough to declare for the draft. So, and as long as it's going to be that way, which I don't see it changing any soon. NBA, not NBA, but the college men's basketball situation is going to continue to underperform when compared to the women's when it comes to entertainment.
All right, yeah, but But yeah, Robert mentioned that Bronny declared for the draft, and yeah, we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about that, I do want to keep it in women's for now because one thing that happened that has happened recently in the progress of the women's side of basketball or just women in sports is Lindsey Harding is breaking barriers and had an interview for the head coaching job with the Charlotte Hornets. Sean, you had her numbers and stuff up.
Yeah, I got her whole history up here, Mark. So I'm going to try to give you the brief history here. It says, I'm going to start from the beginning here. Six. She played for 6 different WNBA teams. She played for 10 years, yada, yada, yada. But as soon as she retired, she got into coaching. She started off as a development and scouting in this development and scouting department with the Sixers. She moved on to the Sacramento Kings as a player development coach. Then after that, I would say 2021, she was head coach for South Sudan's women's national team. 2022, she was the Mexican women's national team coach. And then just this past season, she became the first woman to be an NBA G League head coach. And in her first season as head coach, they went, I don't want to say it wrong, they went 24-10, and she won Coach of the Year honors in her first season as a G League coach. Okay, so if you want to talk about credentials, I mean, being vetted and wooed to be the head coach of more than one national team outside of the United States is kind of a big deal. Mm-hmm. So that means somebody's paying attention and they know you're a good coach. So that's her history, Mark. I'm glad to hear that she has this type of resume so that nobody can really say anything about it being a hardcore diversity hire or anything like that. She was just everybody's over here lobbying for Mac McClung to get into the NBA because he was a leading scorer and the G League MVP this past season. He averaged like 25, 26 points a game. If the same way that they can lobby for him to get into the NBA, then they can lobby for her and say her credentials are legit because she won Coach of the Year, went 24-10 in the G League.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest, man. Shout out to Lindsey Harding, but my conversation isn't about Lindsey Harding. I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you. Shout out to her. She's an absolute globetrotter. She did, you know what I mean? She's been around the world and she's had success in a lot of the places that she's been around. But like I said, my conversation is about her. It's about the fact that I'm glad that the NBA is opening the door to the idea of a female head coach. But there is one specific team that needs to go hire a female head coach, and it's not Lindsey Harding. I do not think that Lindsey Harding is the premier person to do this, and this isn't a prisoner of the moment situation. Dawn Staley has proven that she is a monster head coach. She had back-to-back championships, and then when her players filtered out, and she had one year where it wasn't where it was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They didn't make it to the end. The very next year, this year, they make it to the end and win. So they only have 1 year off, even though she had a whole new crop of players. And
not even talk about make it to the end and win. She went undefeated. She completed the perfect season.
Exactly. Completed a perfect season with a whole new crop of players. And then not only that, but like you said, in the championship game, it wasn't my players are better than yours. It was I outcoached you.
I outcoached you, and we played as a team.
Right.
coaching was such a big part of that game because, like I said, I can't say anything. Caitlin Clark was cooking in the first quarter. If she would have continued to go down that path, they would have lost that game. The coaching adjustment was the biggest swing of momentum for that game, and yeah, taking a player that isn't as offensively gifted and saying, I'm going to keep you on the floor specifically so you can play defense against Caitlin Clark, that's taking a risk. But if you know your players and you understand, you know how to motivate them properly, then it's not that much of a risk. But in the eyes of everybody else, I can't tell you if I believe another coach outside of Dawn Staley would have done the same thing, because I don't think they would have. They wouldn't have sacrificed offense for defense.
Now, no, they wouldn't have. And another coach, and we've seen coaches do the bad thing and mess up their team instead of sacrificing the offense for defense, they go for the offense, and now they're losing. Boston Celtics, we watched that happen to them, where they were dominating when whatchamacallit, who got caught for cheating, was defensively focused, and then when they had the new guy after they got rid of him, he was offensively focused. They weren't the same.
Yeah.
They weren't the same team. And then you got and now it's just Milwaukee Bucks got rid of their defensive stalwart and added Dame, and they're not the same team. But that brings me. But the Milwaukee Bucks aren't the same team for another reason, which is why I brought up Dawn Staley. It was because the Milwaukee Bucks need Dawn Staley. They need a.
You're gonna say the Bucks. That was a good one, Mark.
They need a real coach. Like I've had enough. I've seen enough of Doc. I've had enough. I'm tired of his rotations. They're the worst pieces of trash ever. I am tired of his old school way of not utilizing his young players at all. Like, I am tired of the way he coaches basketball. It's enough.
I'm trying to let you cook because I got some shit, but go ahead.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man.
But man, I feel you, and I feel that vitriol that you got for Doc Rivers nonsense. I'm not even going to say Doc Rivers. It's for his nonsense, man. But with that said, Dawn Staley is a coach that I think, even if you bring her in, even if you bring her into a championship caliber team that has won a championship and does have, I mean, some would say a top 5 player in the league, I think her resume and her cachet will still demand the respect of the players.
Exactly. Like, them players can't talk down to Dawn. She's an Olympic champion.
They know who she is what I'm saying, Mark.
Right.
I believe they know who she is. I believe they know what her accomplishments are. And if they didn't know what she was as a player, they know what she is as a coach right now. And it means something to have the respect, not from your people, not just as a coach, but as a player. And, when you're talking about some of the greatest WNBA players of all time,
right? Dawn is up there.
Dawn did it on all the levels. Now she's done it as a player in college. She's done it as a player in the WNBA, and now she's doing it as a head coach. I feel like her resume.
Hey, don't forget that she's an Olympic champion, bro.
Yes,
she's a gold medalist.
Sorry, I'm keep leaving it out. She is an Olympic champion. I dare you to find another female head coach that has her resume.
I dare you. No, F that. I dare you to find any coach, period, that measures up like that.
You why? Because when they're that good, they don't coach. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like so I agree with you, Mark. You won't find a coach that has that resume, and you'll be hard pressed to find a WNBA player that has that resume,
male or female.
Yeah,
I dare you to find a head coach that has that resume.
So, but
maybe Jason Kidd, but y'all ushered Jason Kidd right out the door.
hey, look, man. I understand he does things his way, and that rubs y'all the wrong way. But like, what do you want, man? You gonna be? The thing is, when Jason Kidd, like, coaches come in, before they even get started, they get undercutted by the owners.
Yep.
I do not think that Jason Kidd is a bad coach, and I don't think he's bad for young players. I think that when the young players see Jason Kidd come in and they look at the owners and they look at the GMs and say, hey man, I don't like the way he's talking. Like, they know that they can go to upper management and undercut whatever Jason Kidd is trying to do. That's the problem. That's a widespread problem within the NBA right now. But like I said, Dawn Staley, if she were to end up with the Bucks, I honestly think she would garner the respect of the players there. And let's be honest, all you need is the respect of one player, and that's Giannis. Because Giannis ain't going for that shit. He's not letting nobody on the team talk crazy. You know what I'm saying? If she has his respect, he's gonna make sure everybody else falls in line. And I'm pretty sure him and Dame know who she is, and they're gonna have everybody else fall in line. So, nah, man, I like your idea, Mark. I do think if Dawn Staley was coaching this team right now instead of Doc Rivers, they would be.
They are a championship team. Like, they would be a lot scarier.
It would be a lot better team.
A lot better with this current roster, even though this roster is not correct.
And real quick, I want to be very clear for those that don't understand what type of coach, what type of person Dawn Staley is. Dawn Staley laughed the reporters out of the building when they started trying to make comparisons of WNBA players and NBA players, and she's like, we're women, we can't play with them. Like, she's grounded in her understanding of basketball, what works, what doesn't work, why it works, why it doesn't work, why it won't work. She's very grounded, and she's a very realistic, down-to-earth person. So that carries over into her coaching, man. She's not going to have somebody trying to do something that they're not good at. So,
Rob, yeah. I hear you about Diana Taurasi, and honestly, we already talked. Like, we talked about this last week when it came to.
She's not Dawn Staley, dog.
No, not like we talked about this last week about Diana Taurasi when it came to Caitlin Clark, and how what you're seeing in Caitlin Clark isn't new, and the fact that people are disrespecting and saying, is Caitlin Clark the GOAT of women's basketball or whatever, is nonsense. We've discussed that. But here's the thing, Diana Taurasi is not Dawn Staley. And just like you, all the other accolades, whatever you want to call it, as far as player to player, sure, you might have an argument there, or you might have a conversation there, or whatever. Doesn't even matter. The problem is that one is a proven coach.
Not just proven. She just went undefeated. Like,
yeah, one, like, you know what I mean? One is a proven dominating coach. One is a proven, like, hey, if you could go out there and get you could go out there and get Popovich.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so,
you might.
Yeah,
like,
so
you might be looking at the female you may be looking at the female version of Popovich.
And real quick, I want to put this into perspective for you. She is, she's one of one. She is the only Hall of Fame level player, whether you're talking about men's and women's, that is coaching at this level that she's coaching at. You've never seen it before. Okay, you can go back to Isaiah Thomas. You can go back to Larry Bird. These guys didn't have this level of success. Okay, you're seeing a one of one, man. Like, and I don't think people understand how much it takes, like how great you have to be a former player to be able to coach players that are lesser than you on every level, and it's not the patience to deal with it. That's the reason why Larry Bird stopped coaching. He literally said, I can't do it. Like, I want to get on the court. I want to strangle people. Like I know that I would be able to execute this 10 times out of 10, and I'm asking these dudes to do this, and they're just not. And you're telling me I have to understand that they're just not going to do what they're supposed to do. And he's like, I can't accept that. I got to stop coaching. I'm going to have a heart attack, right? So, no, man, this is the only time we've ever seen it, Mark. I don't care if you're talking about football. I don't care. Like, you can name a sport. You've never seen a player of her caliber become a coach of this caliber. Yeah, because to me, she's in the GOAT conversation for female basketball players. And then right now, if she continues on the path that she's on, she's going to be making a case for the GOAT coach.
Yeah. Now,
Like,
I hear you. Now you saying Gino and all that, but this isn't a conversation about. I guess it is a conversation about goat coach. Like, it's not a conversation about goat coaches. It's just about a conversation about finding people that have comparable resumes, and they're not. It's not a lot of them. It's not a lot of people. Like, yeah, you said Gino. Okay, cool. Is there more? Can you count them? Can you count more than 5? Can you count them outside of your hand?
hard pressed. And let's be honest, I want to specifically, the reason why Mark brought up Dawn Staley and the whole reason why this entire topic came up is because we're talking about people that aren't getting opportunities to coach
Right.
on that level. So like, I want
Or at least they're not being approached. We don't like.
Yes,
we don't know, because Dawn she's actively coaching, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I just think that Milwaukee needs to have a. All right, Rob, you're really hung up on this. We get it. There's a few other people that's out there. It's not a lot.
Pat Summitt wasn't the player that Dawn Staley was. You see, you're missing the point, man. You're missing the point because it means something when you used to be a player.
Right.
And there's a different respect that you get from players when you used to be that person as a player. Like, Pat Summitt is a fucking phenomenal coach, but she's not Dawn Staley because she didn't play like Dawn Staley. And I know that Pat Summitt. I'll tell you, she wasn't Dawn Staley, man. Like, we gotta cut this out, man. Stop it right now.
Next thing you know, he's going.
You know what we're saying.
Yeah, like next thing you know, he's going to talk about Cheryl Miller and like, all right, man, all right, get it.
Yeah. No, man, like, nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that, nah, man.
But like the fact, the point is, though, when it comes to this, you see these people out there, and I'm like, all right, my main point is just to have the conversation that it's enough of Doc. Get a real coach.
Yes.
Doc has been downgraded so much that I no longer feel as though he's a real coach.
Yeah, yes. He's been masquerading as a coach for a while now, is what you want. Yeah. And I agree.
Like,
it's been a while since I've seen him really coach, you know? Real quick, I'm gonna leave Rob with this. I'm gonna leave Rob with this analogy so he can calm down on the Pat Summitt and all this other stuff. I have a question for you. You a Patriots fan? Would you rather, let's say you're looking at Bill Belichick, right, as a head coach, and you've had him as a head coach and he's had all the success, or Peyton Manning says, I'm looking into becoming a head coach, and then Peyton Manning becomes a head coach and then has an undefeated season? Which one would be more impressive to you? And which one would you want? Peyton Manning coming off of an undefeated season and he's only done it once? Or Bill Belichick with his resume? Because I'm telling you right now, I'm taking Peyton Manning because I know the man played, and it makes a difference. And we've seen what his genius did on the field when it came to breaking down defenses and calling stuff out and making all of, like, the level of coaching that you're going to get on a micro level is going to be different than what you're going to get from Belichick. Belichick understands a lot of things about football. He don't understand football like Peyton Manning. There's a difference. If Peyton Manning coached right now and got an undefeated season, I'm taking Peyton Manning as a head coach over every coach in the league.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't feel like you can disagree with that. Like,
well,
no. So yeah, this Dawn Staley is doing something different, and we have to acknowledge it as such. We're not going to downplay it, man.
All right, but yeah, but getting out of that, and Bronny James, man, he declares for the NBA drafts and enters the transfer portal.
I'm gonna mute Chris. I'm gonna mute him just like there gotta be a way I can block him, right? I can just block him and mute him, right? I don't know what's going on. We can ban him from speaking for like 15 minutes, can't we? Other than that, I would say Tony Romo would make a solid coach. Look, man, I'm not even gonna dignify that with a response. Let's move on, man. You showed up to say that, Chris?
Yep.
You showed up to say that? This is wild.
What up, Rob Bell? We're just having a conversation. We just got off the conversation of Dawn Staley being the person that she is, and Lindsey Harding getting the coaching interview for the Charlotte Hornets, and how we feel as though Dawn Staley needs to go ahead and take over the Milwaukee Bucks job, because Milwaukee Bucks currently do not have a real coach in Doc Rivers. He stinks, and that's pretty much where we are.
Real quick, Rob. What I'm saying is, if that happened with Prime, then he would be more coveted than any other coach in the league.
Yeah, and see, Troy, it's funny you say this, because this is exactly where, you stealing the lead, man. Sean had
man. Come on, man. He taking my.
Dog, you took his whole style. I watched you.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Stole his whole flow right in front of me.
Wow.
Dog. Sean is feeling like Soulja Boy right now.
Yeah, dude. I did it first, man. I did it first. It was me.
You know
okay, well, we might as well just get into it now.
But like I was saying, I was going to say Sean has a different take on Bronny James entering the draft, and he was going to get into it. But go ahead and get into it now that we had a spoiler alert. Thanks, Troy.
Steam right out of it. But yes, what I was going to say is, with the Bronny declaring for the draft stuff, I've seen a lot of crazy takes online. You got people saying he's an idiot for going to the draft. He's not ready. The man averaged like 6 points a game, 4 points a game. They talking, that man just had a heart attack. He like, oh man, this is nepotism. You know what I'm saying? They talking a lot of stuff about, oh man, come on. But they talking a lot of stuff about Bronny going into the draft and why it's a bad idea for him and why he's making a mistake, and he's a little bit delusional if he thinks that he should be in the draft and that he's going to get drafted, and they had a million reasons why he shouldn't have entered the draft or declared for the draft. Newsflash, he declared for the draft and the transfer portal at the same time, and in a manner of fashion in which he did this, it still allows him to maintain his eligibility, because I guess when you're in transfer status, this is something that you can do, because you're not attached to a university, you're not currently there, and you know what I'm saying, and you can enter yourself in a draft and retract it as long as you do it before draft day. So what Bronny is doing, like I said, the question is posed, what does it really mean? Because what it means is he's entering himself or declaring himself for the draft and entering the transfer portal because he already knows he wants to move to another team. He already knows when he wants to move to another school to where he can actually be featured. Sometimes these guys, we see it in college football all the time. Some dude that's third string of Alabama would be a starter on 90% of the college teams, but he's in Alabama. And what does he do? He transfers to another university to where he could be a starter. And that way, scouts and the NFL scouts can see them and really see what they can do. It's hard for you to say, I got a dream to go pro, and you're never even getting opportunities in college. And that's what Bronny James is going through right now at USC. Or what he went through this year with USC, granted, outside of his medical situation. Either way, he's entered the draft, he's entered the transfer portal, he still can maintain his eligibility, but what this allows him to do is get seen by NBA scouts, and the NBA scouts are going to be very honest with them and tell them what they tell any other college player. Yeah, if we have if you're available in the second round, when we have our 21st pick in the second round, we're going to give you a look. Or they'll say, you'll hear from us. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to let him know what they think of his talent, what his weaknesses are, what his strengths are, what he can work on. And if they tell him, if they say basically, hey, we don't think you're ready, then he could just go to another university, work on those parts of his game, and then also be featured as a starter on the team, you know? So this, people saying it's a stupid idea are completely wrong. This is exactly what somebody like him should be doing, because I think staying at USC is not the move. I think entering into the draft and just abandoning college is not the move. But yes, transferring, but then also being able to get valuable information on what the NBA scouts that will be helping to draft you, being able to get the information of what they think of your talent is very valuable. So this is a move that not just Bronny should be doing. A lot of these guys at major universities that are the fifth or sixth guy on the roster that are super athletic but aren't getting opportunities or aren't polished, instead of them just entering into the draft, they should do what he's doing. Maintain your eligibility, get the feedback, and that way you can make a better decision on whether you should go out, because a lot of these guys enter the draft, don't get picked up, end up in the G League, and then disappear.
Right.
So, and Bronny James, what Bronny James is trying to do right now is not being able to go to people. Thank you.
Let him cook.
You a piece of, ooh, boy.
Let him cook.
Yeah.
Chris says, teams want to know if his daddy comes as a part of the deal. If so, Orlando wants him.
Yeah, well, this is, but that brings me to the next point. That's exactly how Bronny is going to figure out what he's worth. Like I'm saying, I know I was wording it saying they're going to tell him. They're not going to tell Bronny nothing, but they're going to tell Rich Paul. They're going to tell LeBron James. They're going to tell everybody around Bronny, and that's how Bronny's going to find out. So you think these scouts ain't gonna be talking to LeBron? Boy, they good. What you think, Bron? How you think you would look in an Orlando Magic uniform? You know what I'm saying? No, there's gonna be a whole lot of brokering, a lot of information passing, and there's gonna be a lot of temperature checking to see not only where Bronny is at, but where LeBron's mind is at when it comes to whether or not he's willing to leave LA or follow Bronny, because he's kind of backed off of that a little bit as of recently. But
yeah, because hey man, listen, I mean his fall off looks a little different than other people's fall offs because he's like that. But LeBron, obviously he knows he can't play like that. His body doesn't want to stay on the floor like that no more. Like, and guess what, the shit that he's taking can't keep him on the floor like that.
What do you mean the shit that he's taking? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, Mark?
I don't know what I'm talking about. Like
that's crazy. That's wild.
He's taking supplements. That's what I heard.
Hey, look, that's crazy. Hey, you know what's funny, man? I saw.
That's what I hear. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Hey, that's crazy. Who's the dude that does the Brilliant Idiots podcast? They used to do a Brilliant Idiots podcast with Charlamagne. What's his name?
Schultz. Andrew Schultz.
Andrew Schultz. Did you see the clip of his last stand-up where he's talking about the Diddy stuff and
Explain it to the people if they don't know.
It's funny because he made he made some jokes about the dangers of New York. He's like, nah, it's not a dangerous place. It's just one specific segment of the city. It's Diddy's house, because he's like, they call you guys pedophiles and murderers, and he's like, no, it's just
California. Yeah, he said California.
Or California, my bad, California, my New York. He said Diddy's house and everything, right? And then he goes into a whole bag to where it's just back-to-back jokes. And one part of the joke is he mentions like an over-under on something, and he was like, I know Shohei Ohtani knows.
Right.
And he's like, them Japanese dudes like gambling and all this stuff. He went into a whole bag, right? And it's just funny because he said the Otani thing about he knows the over under.
All right.
And I said, and I was telling my boy, I was like, they did it when all of a sudden they need a translator. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I actually,
If LeBron shows up with a translator one day, like, because let's be honest, like when Rafael Palmeiro went through the steroid thing and he showed up with a translator, I was like, dog, you've been speaking English, perfect English, since I was a child. You know what I'm saying? I've been watching you for 15 years speak English, and now all of a sudden you need a translator? Get out of here, dog.
I got it right here for those that didn't see it.
Get some entertainment in here, man.
LA, I got tired, man. I got tired of the media trying to smear this great city. Every time I turn on the TV, they're saying you're a bunch of fucking criminals, drug addicts, and pedophiles, and it's bullshit. That is not the whole city. That is a very small, specific section of the city. It's called Diddy's house. That is, listen. Is Diddy going to jail? What's the over-under? Someone asked Shohei Otani. I know he got the... Those Japanese love gambling, bro.
Yeah, he was cooking on this
film. Driving. But whatever. Listen, this is the only reason I think he might be guilty is the evidence. The evidence is a motherfucker, bro. But no, the other reason is because every celebrity in LA has had their home robbed except Diddy. Like Rihanna got robbed, fucking Keanu Reeves got robbed, Paris Hilton got robbed, but no Diddy. And I thought about it, it's like, bro,
remember when LL beat that dude up that tried to rob his house?
I remember.
Because what if he's there? You break down the door, he's butt naked on the couch. Meek Mill sitting on his lap, just petting him like a Maltese cat. Meek Mill crying. Oh no, wait a minute! I thought you was finished. Diddy's like, can't stop, won't stop. You try to run out. You run out. The door is locked. You're locked in. You turn around. All of a sudden, you hear. You ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere. I can't be stopped now. It's your asshole tonight.
Hey. I'm not a fan.
Tired, baby. Sit the fuck down.
I'm not a fan of Andrew Schultz.
No, but that was gold.
Hey man, you just gotta give him motherfucking props when he's doing it like that. Hey, that man got into a bag that I ain't never seen before. it was back to back to back. So hey, Mark, you can say hey Marcus, you can say no Meek slander, but dog, hey, you can't say that wasn't funny, dog.
Hey, I don't care, man. Hey, get this slander, dog. Get all of this slander.
Hey, look, we already talked about Meek last week, didn't we?
I think so. I think.
Hey, whenever you get on Twitter and proclaim to be the most manliest man that ever lived,
the manliest man of mans.
Yeah,
I love the pink. Didn't he say something like? Did he say something like I love the pink?
Like, ask about me. Like ask about you.
What?
Who was there when you were doing these things, Meek? What's going on? What do you mean ask about you?
The titties. They like bags of sand.
They know what I like.
They're like big bags of sand. Every time I think of Meek Mill describing that shit, I think of 40-year-old virgin. Every single time. Like, all right, bro. Like, hey,
fine, Marcus. Don't you think his behavior since everything?
No. Forget that. Look, listen. Did you see the clip from WrestleMania when Rock was knocked out?
Unfortunately, I had to see that. Unfortunately,
he was like, the girl was like, "Get up, Rock, get up," and then you hear Meek Mill, "Get up."
Hey man, look, now Marcus.
Yo.
You need to tell Meek to stop slandering himself. If you want the Meek Mill slander to go away, he got to stop slandering himself. He doing it to himself out here, man.
Yo, the way he said "get up," I was like, "Yo, what is going on,
Hey,
dog?"
Mark, I don't care how loud it is, bro. I've yelled a million times in my life. My voice ain't never came out.
Yo, and here's the thing: as a man and stuff, you got to know what your voice sound like sometimes,
Yeah.
and like, and so like if I'm gonna go yell, like I know I can hit a high pitch yell if I really wanted to, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna go, yo, Rock, get up! Like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna bring that down a few octaves. Rock, come on! Like,
You're gonna sound. Your voice is gonna sound abnormally low.
yeah, like I'd rather it sound at normally low than
Yeah.
Rock, get up!
Rather somebody comes to you and be like, "Why are you making your voice sound like that?" Than to sound like Meek Mill,
Exactly.
but
I'd rather pull the Carl Anthony Towns than sound like Carl Anthony Towns.
That's crazy. That's that's good. That's good, man. Hey, he did sound real Carl Anthony Towns-ish. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but nah, man. Like to be. Let's be honest, man. Like, you're not gonna accidentally sound like that. There's no accident.
Right.
The only way you can accidentally sound like that is if you sounded like that before. Like, that's the only way it can accidentally happen. Like, you sound like a Bond girl. That's crazy. Yo. That's funny, man. Hey, look, that Meek Mill shit was very damning. That WrestleMania clip, bro. And
Hey,
like,
man.
he can just take your L's right now.
No disrespect. It's all peace because, you know what I mean. Hey, if you punching dudes for being a ghostwriter, I don't want you. Coming after me. But, you know what I mean. All peace. If you.
People already pinpointed when Meek turned. You know what I'm saying? They was like, look, man. That boy, he had them old rich white people come get him out of jail.
Yep.
Hey, look.
Yeah.
That man Robert Kraft came and got him out of jail.
And then said, "Hey, man, I need a new in-house massage therapist."
Hey, look, I'm just saying.
I know.
Crazy. Look.
Well, his people punch people. You know what I mean? And
yeah, no,
and
people like. It's never been in question.
Right.
It's never been in question.
And his people could randomly see me on the street for real. Like, that's a real thing that could happen. So it's all peace.
Yeah, no, that's all that matters. Cause yeah, you know, when your people do that stuff, then we gonna leave you alone. That's how that works. You know.
It's all jokes. Just laugh.
Either way, yo, we just got into a whole Meek Mill segment.
Yeah, we was talking about what, Bronny?
Yeah, we done with the Bronny James though.
Okay.
We said all we needed to say about Bronny. So,
all right.
Real quick before we get into our next topic, if you guys have any questions, please bring them up now because we're getting into one of our or should be the last topic. Go ahead and bring up any questions or anything you guys want our opinion on right now. Go ahead, type it out, put it in the comment section. But all right, we're gonna go ahead and bring up the last topic. So I know we were talking about college basketball earlier. To bring it, well, this whole time essentially, let's bring it back to the Purdue team. Zach Edey. We talked about him being basically unguardable for the last 2 seasons in college basketball. For those that don't know who Zach Edey is, he is a 7'4", 300-pound center that plays for Purdue. He's the reason why Purdue made it to the championship. He's the reason why Purdue won. He's the reason why I felt confident that they would win against anybody that they played because the teams in the Final Four didn't have anybody to deal with them. But there's been a lot of questions from the scouts saying right now they have him projected to be late, mid to late, somewhere between mid and late second round. So basically, he's coming in towards the end of the draft for the projections. And the reason why is NBA scouts feel like they don't know if he will be able to have success on the NBA level because he's such a traditional back to the basket post move center. And they don't know if he'll be able to transition to the NBA style of play.
All right, man. I want to just cut this short because I find it lazy and stupid. I hope nothing ever changes about his game. I hope his game stays the exact same way forever. And simply so we could finally put all this nonsense to rest, and it could be shown. Shaq today, Shaq would have been Shaq no matter what. No matter where you put him and what time frame, Shaq would have been Shaq. I want this kid to just stay the same. Just improve on what you're good at or whatever. Blah 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 blah. Just to prove, back to the basket. I'm gonna back you down. I'm gonna kill you. It doesn't matter. Your physicals in basketball truly matter. I know we made the game more accessible for the 6'3" to 6'1" guy and all that shit. The game is more accessible for those guys now.
Yeah.
But a 7'5" guy is still gonna dominate. 7'3" guy is still gonna dominate. He's still gonna be a monster and a load to deal with. I mean, look at Wemby. Wemby is out here just blocking everything. He it don't matter what you do. Wemby is going to block it, and he is doing it. Why? Because he's 7 foot. He's 7 foot plus.
He's 7'4", and he's 7'4", and he has long ass arms. What are you gonna do? He doesn't need to jump. He doesn't. Right. Most people's problem when it comes to blocking shots is I have to leap off of the ground and time my jump. He don't have to time nothing.
Yeah.
He can watch you wind up and be late to it and just stick his arm out. He's gonna.
Exactly. It don't matter. One thing that I watched and I thought, or I saw somebody say, and this is shout out to Bio. Bio said Wemby was born to end all your little baby ass GOAT debates.
I agree with him.
And I also agree with him because by the time Wemby's done, his numbers and what he has accomplished is just going to shit on everybody because basically you are looking, if things play out correctly, you are looking at Wilt Chamberlain as a rookie.
That's the comparison I made the other day, Mark. And what I said was the only question I had about Wemby is, will they treat him like they do Wilt 40, 50 years after Wemby retires?
He's a myth that never happened?
Yeah, and the response that I got was...
Well, but now we have actual video evidence that you can never deny.
Yeah, we do. But what I'm saying is, if you leave any room for doubt, they're just going to discount it. Or they'll say he played in the era where he was just a freak of nature. Because that's what they do with Wilt. They give Bill Russell credit, but Wilt played in the same exact era. Kareem came in towards the end of that era, and they still give Kareem credit for being having a phenomenal rookie season and a phenomenal sophomore season. In the same damn era that Wilt played in was averaging 50 points a game. But they don't give Wilt the credit, right? And it's one of those things where it's Wilt played against plumbers, he played against all these people. And what we see, and to a lesser degree, we see what people say about LeBron. Well, LeBron's more athletically gifted than everybody. Of course he can drive to the basket. All he does is dunk, and he gets 20. They're saying, in real time, they were saying it about Shaq in LA. So the guys that are more physically dominant, whether it be for speed, whether it be for jumping ability, whether it be for height, people tend to discount them, and I'm wondering if that's going to happen to Wemby. But in all seriousness, Mark, Wemby has the ability in the modern era, because we're not going to count in the modern era, to be considered the greatest defensive player and offensive player that we've ever seen. And that is Wilt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but like obviously you could say Wilt played in the era where there was 8 teams. Wemby's playing in the most talented era that we've seen in a long in forever. Like,
and they may be talented, but they don't know the rules and they can't play within the rules for nothing.
Yeah, they can't. But either way, the point is what we're seeing from Wemby is outrageous. And if let's be honest, and back to your original point, if Wemby had the same skill set as he did, and he was 6'10", even 7 foot, Wemby wouldn't be Wemby, right? He wouldn't be able to give you 8 blocks, 9 blocks in a night. He wouldn't be able to do that if he was 7 foot.
Right.
But he's 7'4". So, but back to Zach Edey. You said you hope nothing changes about his game. I hope nothing changes about his game too, because outside of Wemby and Embiid, who's going to defend him? I'm watching. I just looked it up, Mark, because I looked it up as soon as the topic came up. What's his name?
Go ahead.
James Stewart says he needs a jump shot. Troy said, I don't think he's going to get the opportunity. FIBA game is more. I get all that. I'll give you something here. I'm watching Rudy Gobert average 14 points a game. 14 points a game, 12 and a half rebounds a game for Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert has no post moves. Rudy Gobert has no jump shot. Okay? Rudy Gobert is he just happens to be, let me look at it, because I want to get the actual height of Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is 7'1", 285 pounds, or 258 pounds, excuse me. He's 7'1", 258. You're talking about a dude that's 7'4" and 300 pounds. And that's the comparison that I would give you is at worst, he's Gobert. Maybe he's not as good defensively as Gobert, but offensively, you could say he's Gobert, but that's at worst. He's actually better than Gobert offensively. He has more moves, he can do more. Gobert is averaging 14 points a game. You telling me this dude can't come in the league and average 14 and 12? You telling me he can't come in the league right now and still average 2.5 blocks a game from being 7'4"? Like, you telling me he can't come in here and because I think he goes into the NBA, and if you actually utilize the skill sets that he currently has and say, hey, unless we're going up against Wemby or Embiid today, then we're going to eat and we're going to be efficient. I think he can average 18 points a game without even being the focal point of the offense. There's no way you're going to tell me that Gobert is averaging 14 points a game and there's no place for Edey in the NBA.
Yeah.
Mark?
Nah, man. You said everything, man.
That's it.
No need for me to speak on it.
Yeah, ain't no big man threats out here. Be tall and you're going to get 14 points a game is what I see.
Easily.
You're going to get fed. You're going to get some lobs. You're going to get some putbacks. Like, just be 7'4".
And then there's and then there's just nobody there's no more Dennis Rodmans. Like you know what I mean? Like you're not going to run into a 6'8" guy that's just tough as shit. Like you're not going to run into a 6'7". There's no more Charles Barkleys. There's no more like they don't exist no more. The guy that's not quite as tall, but he's tough.
Yeah,
he's a beast. Like you're not going to run into that no more. They don't exist. So these tall guys are just going to do whatever they want.
Yeah, there's no Antonio Davises and Antonio McDyces out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, even there's not even a 6'10" guy that's big and strong like that. So excuse me. Like you said, there's nobody to put up any type of resistance against a big man that can play with their back to the basket. Like you said, there's no Rodmans. Like, I just watched a whole compilation, Mark. They had like a 3-minute montage of Dennis Rodman playing defense against Shaq.
Yeah.
They had clips of him with the Bulls, clips of him with the Spurs. Bruh, they not built like that no more. Like, and I'm talking about he was stopping Shaq from pushing him around, and he was actually moving Shaq off of his spot in times. Like, they don't got nobody like that in the league, man.
Yeah, it's not a thing anymore.
It's
Not a thing.
That man, you know what he's been doing to teams. I want to be clear because I know a lot of people wasn't watching Purdue this year, and you probably didn't watch Purdue play in the tournament. You know how he's averaging 25 points a game? 6 feet from the basket, post up, jump hook. Who's stopping that today? Who's stopping the little baby hook from a 7'4" dude today? Nobody. Like, man, it's very simple, man. You don't have to be that skilled. Shaq was one of the most skilled, ginormous people that I've ever seen. And guess what? The shit that he was doing in LA did not require any skill. Shaq just backed people up, did his little baby hook. It doesn't require skill. It doesn't require skill, man. All right.
Hey, everybody hit that link like button and all that. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate that. And listen, next episode is probably going to be our next episode, I promise you, will be our draft preparation episode, and we'll be going over it and talking about it. And this will be more of a conversation piece with you guys, where we're going to just be kind of asking you, what do you think of some of these guys? So this will be a more our NFL draft mock draft preparation episode will be more of a conversation with you than us telling you what we think. It's going to be us sitting around having a powwow. So please join us next week for our powwow for the mock draft. And go ahead.
And real quick, I just want to say, please, you guys have your favorite teams out there. Please let me know who you think your team is going to draft, but tell me who you want your team.
What do you think they need? Yeah, what do you think they need? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
care about your situation as a fan and what you're looking forward to and what you're looking or hoping to see your team do in the draft. Please do. Please show up with your opinions, and please show up with your with your fanhood on deck, please.
Yeah, because that would be more so the conversation that I would like to have. Is not. I would just like to sit around and talk to you guys about this. Man,
talk about this all the time. But guess what? We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it on air, and we're gonna have that conversation that we have behind, off air. We're gonna have that on air, Robert. You know what I'm saying? We definitely want you to bring all that information that you have and all the expectations that you have to the show next Tuesday.
Yeah, that's pretty much going to be our show next Tuesday, barring anything super crazy happening in sports that we have to talk about right away. That's going to be our conversation, is that upcoming NFL draft and what do we want to see from it. But yeah, man, like I said, we appreciate you guys for tuning in, liking, subscribing it, all that jazz. Okay.
Laughing at it.
Hey, listen. Good.
I'm laughing because I know what I think of Drake May, and I do think he's the same thing. He's Mac Jones. I don't know why they would be interested, but knowing you, Mark, there's a difference. There's one specific difference between Drake May and Mac Jones. One of them has birthing hips and the other one doesn't, Mark. And I think that matters to you.
No, it does matter to me. Exactly. One, like, Doug, you can see it from Mac Jones just by looking at him. Like, you don't prepare. I know you don't. I know you don't take practice seriously. I know you don't take off season seriously. I know all of that by looking at you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't be
like
in
there's
the
no
NFL and look like that if you care.
right.
It,
Like not in college, not in
hey,
college.
you can't
Mm-mm.
look like that. Like you can't look like you should be baking bread with old buddy from Hunger Games. Like you can't look
Right.
like that man said bow and arrow. What's that? I don't know how to use that. Like yeah, you know. So you can't walk around looking like you just bake bread for a living, bro. You can't look like a housewife and then expect me to believe that you're doing everything you can to be a better football player.
Right. I just no. Like that's just a factual statement, bro. Not at that position. Not a QB. Absolutely not.
All right, I believe that alone. We can leave it at that. But yeah, I already knew how you felt.
Mm-mm. But hey, man, listen. But legitimately, I told you guys this one was going to be short because that's the end of the episode. We ain't really got much else to talk about. The NBA playoffs is on the horizon, but I mean that's pretty much self-explanatory. The NBA playoffs is on the horizon. The Lakers found their way into 8th place as of right now, and is anyone really surprised?
No,
No.
I mean
Like
we see that the
it's
Warriors
called
are going to play in as well. You know,
it's called sports entertainment. No, it's called sports entertainment. Like I mean,
Mark,
it's
magically the Warriors and the Lakers were out of it like 2 weeks ago, and then now
right.
they're both in it. They're both in the play-in. Maybe you say it's the will of a champion, Mark. Others would say it's the will of the NBA in the organization.
Right.
I need more
No,
UFL.
I don't have a UFL thought because I need this season to actually play a little bit.
Yeah,
I need to see. I need something to happen before I can truly have a thought on it.
Yeah, but off rip,
good.
combining the two was a good idea. It looks like the talent level has been condensed to where you have the cream of the crop that aren't in the NFL. And the only thing I can say about the UFL is I appreciate somebody picking up destroying.
I have something to say about the UFL. Up the advertising budget.
Thank you.
I don't know when these games are.
I get notifications on the app that I use to watch sporting events allegedly for free.
Mm-hmm.
and those notifications are the only reason why I know when UFL games are being played. So yes, advertising needs to go up.
Yeah, the advertising budget needs to go up. That's my thought on the UFL. Is the advertising budget need to go up? Advertise a game or two, like. But I'll say this, man. I'm going to be looking out for AJ McCarron this year. Like, because you guys know I've been preaching AJ McCarron a lot. So, like, this is just
better than a lot of these fucking backups and some of these starters.
This is just like he is my underdog guy that I'm rooting for, and it's largely because he had a starting opportunity in the world, but the ineptitude of the Browns prevented him from actually having a chance to be a starter in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I've talked about that before, so I'm not going to expound on that again. So,
but yeah, no, I feel you. But that's it, man.
But we appreciate you guys for joining us and watching us and sticking around with us. Hit that like button. And come check us out next Tuesday at 8:00 because, like I said, that will be our NFL draft show. We appreciate you. Peace.
Peace.